This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
I have said this before in the beginning of a podcast, and that it's going to be quick, and then we run our mouths forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This time is a little bit different. I do need it to be quick because, first of all, I'm exhausted, but everybody's going to understand. Nana was put in ICU.
Yeah.
At the hospital.
Again.
Well, she was at the hospital. She came home, was released before dinner time. Then the next morning was non-responsive. And
non-responsive as in?
Like kind of unconscious, where she was breathing, but she couldn't open her eyes. She couldn't.
Oh.
She didn't know where she was. There was no way for her to respond or follow commands.
Okay.
She was basically unconscious, but she was breathing.
Okay.
I have teased her since. She was like that for 3 days. At the end of the third day, she started coming around. And then last night, she came home from the hospital.
Last night she came home from the hospital?
She was in the hospital for 5 days.
Wow.
It was very, very stressful. I did tease her, though, however, about that point in time when I realized that she could not, she wasn't able to help at all to get her to the car to go to the hospital. I called for an ambulance. So I called 911, and I let them in, went down the hall with them, and then I realized that she was surrounded by 4 really good-looking firemen, and how much she would have enjoyed that had she been awake enough to see what was there. So
I thought that you were going to say something like you drew a little mustache on her or something.
Well, I'll keep that in mind for next time. But this time was too stressful.
Yes.
And so when we knew that she wasn't okay.
Right.
I disagreed with the doctor that let her go the night before. Mm-hmm. I told him she's not okay. You're letting her go when she's not okay. Right. And he said, well, the criteria for keeping her here isn't here. So she woke up enough to have it. Well, let me say this. Before she was released the first time, she was coherent for that period of time when that doctor was there. And that was it. It's like that thing when you take your kids to the doctor and then they're fine. Yes. Or sometimes but otherwise they aren't. Right. Or some people, vets will say that the pups will do that too. Oh, jeez. So, or the cats or the pigs or the lizards or whatever your, little beloved animal is. But so she was not okay, was not able to communicate very effectively. The doctor came in. She, perked up, so to speak. She did, perked up, and I was saying, whoa. And he's saying, well, she can go. And I was saying, no, because this is not how she's been. Right. This is not how she's been. This is how she's been since you got here. And I do understand that he had to go based on what he saw and his assessment and not what the family member says. But I was telling him, this is not okay. Right. Well, so then the next morning, she just never woke up enough to function. Yeah. And so... It sounds like me on a day after I go to D&D. It does, right? Right? Like it takes so much out of you that you just can't function. Yeah. Yep. Einstein says he agrees. So, yes... So not that I want to take up the time with talking about this particular issue that Nana has, but just to say this, that when a liver's job is to pass the toxins through your system and get rid of them. Mm-hmm. When your liver's not working, One of the things that everybody has in their body is ammonia.
Mm-hmm.
A normal level is like high is like 48. So if you're at 48, that's the high number, but you're still okay.
Right.
And they say not to get too hung up on the number because somebody can have a 48 and not be able to function. Somebody else can have a super high number and they're fine.
Right.
But for Nana, it kind of follows suit that the higher number, the worse off she is.
Yeah.
Well, when she was at the emergency room after the ambulance took her, her ammonia was 225. So it was really not good. She had been taking her medicine like she was supposed to help her liver get rid of help her get rid of the toxins.
Yeah.
And
that's like 5 times.
Yes. So Nana, we live in Virginia. I think most people know that now.
Mm-hmm.
But we live in Virginia, and she's going to see specialist up in Richmond, which is about an hour and a half from where we are.
Right.
And anyway, Nana has to have a transplant.
Oh.
And while we're there, when she was starting to come around and the doctor was telling her about this, she looks at me and points at me, and she goes, "She can give me one." And I'm like, "Whoa, what? Wait a minute here." And anyway, he said that family members might be a better match than others, but I don't know how that works. And a liver is the organ that regenerates itself the best.
Right.
And I mean, look, I don't know if it makes a difference. She's only 4'10", so she doesn't need much. Right?
Oh my gosh.
She's a little tiny thing. So
how old is she now?
81.
81.
Yeah. The doctor did say that she's a good candidate.
Yeah, because she doesn't drink or smoke.
She doesn't, right. So she has what's called non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. A lot of times when people drink a lot of alcohol, it begins to deteriorate the liver and it kind of hardens and gets some fatty tissue in it, and that's what's
Is it cirrhosis or sclerosis?
Cirrhosis without
cirrhosis.
Without the C.
Without the CL.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's cirrhosis. It actually starts with a C. Did you say C?
No, the CL sound.
Okay. Yeah, cirrhosis starts with a C.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's what's been going on here and with Nana, and she's back home now, and she goes in next couple days to see her family doctor, and then that they will give her a referral to go up to the specialist. She's also seeing a specialist here, but they up in Richmond is where they do the transplants.
Okay.
So I think I don't know how that goes now.
Okay.
But anyway, it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
And when you say that she wasn't acting like herself, could you explain that a little bit?
For you?
No, I know Nana really well.
Mm-hmm. So Nana's sassy.
Yes.
She's very, very fast, very witty.
Yes.
When I say that she wasn't herself, she wasn't aware that she was being spoken to.
Yeah.
She wasn't able to speak.
Yeah.
She wasn't able to move. If we had asked her to do something, she couldn't. For example, I asked her to squeeze my hand, and she couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the other people, the nurses and what have you, asked her questions, and she couldn't say anything.
Right. So
when the paramedics got her out of the house, they wheeled her, because we have a long hallway, so they got her out through this wheelchair that they have, and then out into right outside the front door, and then they put her on a stretcher, and they took that stretcher and put it on an ambulance, and she never once opened her eyes or responded at all.
Okay, that's scary.
It is. It was very scary. She didn't open her eyes for 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
And we didn't know what was going to happen. So yeah, that was how she was, and now she's home, and she's doing a lot better.
Yeah.
she's, they've added a couple of things to her regimen, which they're potassium and magnesium.
Okay.
So that's going to help her out some. But you did not go to the hospital.
No.
Because we've already know that you don't go to hospitals.
Right.
You're not okay that way.
Right.
But we let you know what was going on.
Yeah.
And did you know that she was that bad?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, with Nana at least, I know that she's going to be okay. I just have that feeling that she's going to be okay. Because
she's too sassy not to be, right?
Yeah.
That's the feeling of like she makes it through all the time.
Yeah.
This time was scary though because it was a long period of time with nothing showing.
Yeah.
And we had all been in there. At one point she did squeeze my hand, but I don't know if it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first time I heard her say anything was a few days after she was there.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny is your sister Bug's fiance.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to see her so bad, and he had gone by and bought her some flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And they get along super well.
Yeah.
Like they really hit it off.
Yeah.
And they laugh, and they just, it's just a lot of it's good chemistry there.
Yeah.
So she hadn't said anything to any of us. What was that?
I was just going to ask, were they flowers that she was allergic to?
No. But I think there were 3 different dozens, and he couldn't decide what kind to get her, so we bought all 3. And anyway, the first time that I heard her talk, so that was Thursday, this night, before she went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
As she was going to bed, she said goodnight, and I love you. And then the next thing that I hear her say is 3 days later, when Kenny comes in the room and he has these flowers with her and he says, "I love you, Nana," and she opened her eyes and said, "I love you." Like, I'm like, dude, I should have asked you to come in earlier.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then it was a while longer until she really kind of came around more. They kept giving her the medication to help the ammonia drop, and and so she was feeling better. Yeah. This was quite an ordeal this week. This was very uncomfortable, concerning, and and I think people don't talk about it a lot, but when somebody's in the hospital and when somebody needs the care like Nana does,
mm-hmm.
I think people don't talk about it because they don't want to sound like they're complaining, but the caregivers are exhausted.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that she begins to do better.
Yeah.
Because we are going to need some help. If it stays the way it is now, we're going to need some help.
Yeah.
And my brother, your Uncle Tracy, is here, so
mm-hmm.
he's helping now. But
mm-hmm.
when he goes home, it's essentially,
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or more so you.
And Pappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just, everybody that's out there that sends good mojo and prayers, please do that for Nana and for all of us, because we could use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gladly take it. I don't care what you call it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But what I was thinking about with you, as I often do in these kind of situations, is that you oftentimes quietly experience what you're experiencing. So other people might be demonstrative on how they're feeling about mm-hmm. the situation, and you tend to go inward and to kind of separate yourself physically, but mm-hmm. I know that it still affects you.
Yeah. Unless I'm driving, then I just yell at people.
You yell at people when you drive?
Yes. Yes. Oh. Not whenever anyone else is in the car with me.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
Oh.
And it's so that I don't have road rage. Really?
Because
some people are just idiots on the road. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
You are correct about that. And sometimes people just don't, or they're doing their best.
Yeah.
Because they could be new drivers. They could be, who knows? Think about this. What we were just talking about, Nana's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. How do you know if the person that is acting like what you call an idiot, how do you know, like, what, maybe something like that happened to them and their mind is just somewhere else?
That's why I don't give into road rage, and I just, oh, come on.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So
yeah, I remember do you remember one time we were doing, like, driver's training? Uh-huh. And, you made me so mad. I remember you would not use a brake. You would go around the turns and not
like a NASCAR driver or something.
Oh my gosh, you would fling me everywhere. And then this one time, I said something to you about it, telling you how to do something different, and you argued with me, and I made you pull over, and I made you get out. We made it up to your school, to the high school. So we were in your high school parking lot.
Yeah.
I made you get out. And then I called your dad right away. Could you please pick up Josh? He's at the school. He's safe. He's at the school. But I was like, this is not going to end well. If he gets back in the car with me right now, it's not going to be pretty. So, yeah. So, oh my gosh, it was one of those times you didn't know like, what's a brake? You know?
Yeah.
Like, just, like, I'm moving my hands around like a crazy driver, like everybody can see that. But, yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was bonkers. Do you use a brake now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You know what makes me nervous? Every time you leave, every time you're in a vehicle. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's ever going to change.
No, it won't. But that feeling for you won't change. Yep. The fact that I use a brake has changed.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And you got sick this week.
Yeah, a little bit.
I wonder if that was from stress that you were feeling and...
Maybe, yeah. Because thankfully it was just a throat cold.
Mm-hmm. A throat cold?
Yeah.
I've only ever heard it termed head cold or chest cold.
Yeah, because it couldn't make up its mind to go to my chest or my head.
So you came up with something new?
Well, that's the way it always is for me, is it always starts in the throat.
Yeah.
And then it either goes down and becomes a chest cold, or it goes up and it becomes a head cold. And I always feel exactly when it happens, too. Mm-hmm. Which is weird, but...
So one night, I brought you some cough medicine and some throat...
Lozenges,
yes. I left the hospital and brought you... So my brother and I took turns staying the night at the hospital with Nana. Yeah. Uncle Tracy did, and I did. So I brought you that stuff, and you said it made you feel better, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're feeling better now?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I'm doing a lot better.
Yeah. Last week, I'm glad that you're feeling better, so keep drinking lots of fluids.
Non-alcoholic fluids either.
Correct.
I don't need alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah, that's right. Last week we were talking about you applying. You applied for a job at the library, and then you had gone back and done the follow-up testing.
Yeah.
And we got an email, and I think in the podcast I was questioning how did you have this clarity, because we were talking about a medication change.
Right.
That I want to ask you about as well. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about how can you be so clear when you're off of the medicine that's supposedly helping you so much. And we got a message from somebody, and I thought, yeah, they got it. They said, the rainy day video, they say, I think the clarity... Oops, I'm sure I've said that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I should have said it. Okay. I think the clarity comes from the love of the library.
And then it has a little heart.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, because...
that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Like, I'm thinking, well, yes, they know you.
Yeah.
They know exactly what you're experiencing, because it does seem like there's just like the light switch goes on.
Yeah. When
you talk about the library, or when you anything. Working at the library is something that's really like they just nailed it. You have this clarity. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you for the remark.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so you were off some medication because you had an adverse reaction to that.
Mm-hmm.
And now the time for when you had an appointment with a psychiatrist yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that reducing the one medicine and the dosage and then titrating you off of another one is working well.
Yes, very much so.
You feeling better?
I am.
You feeling your fingertips now?
Yes.
I was talking to somebody else, a friend of mine that's dating somebody, just started dating them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And so she called me, and we were talking a little bit about this, and I said, so, she said, well, and I don't know what they were thinking, and just kind of, regular conversation about
Mm-hmm.
that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so here's the deal. I said, it's important for you to say what you mean.
Yeah.
And don't infer anything.
Yeah.
And don't assume anything. And don't think that you know how they should behave, how they should react, how they should respond.
Because it's not going to happen like that.
Mm-mm.
Right.
And I also said, do your best not to be offended if what you get back isn't what you're used to.
Right.
And also if they don't initiate the conversation. If you want them to initiate the conversation, you're going to have to tell them, I would like it if you would initiate contact.
Yeah.
Please send me a text. Because that's not something that you think about, right?
Right. I would think that everything was going okay.
Right.
Yeah. Because
you don't have to have that constant interaction in order for you to feel like, hey, life is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's us neurotypicals out here that are so needy. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes for neurotypicals, it feels like it's a well, what's the word that I'm trying to come up with? I'm thinking this is not disgruntled. It's a
chore.
No. I can't think of the word. But what I'm thinking of is that feeling of this
detachment.
Yeah, kind of. But where we expect something a nicety,
mm-hmm.
and we rely on that nicety to make sense of our relationships. And when that nicety doesn't happen, that's when our minds start racing.
Yeah, you're used to social mores.
Well, so what? Like in our minds. Well, what was said? Why didn't they contact me? Why are they upset? Are they mad? Do they not want to see me again? Are they all that kind of stuff?
Right.
And what I've observed with you anyway is just that you're fine.
Yeah.
You're not upset. You didn't take something to heart. You're not, you just don't think about it.
Right.
It's kind of like, something else. Like there's something, you put it in a drawer. It's there. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Neurotypicals, oh my gosh. We take it out of the drawer. We tie it in knots. You know what I mean? We just are all over the place with it, like torturing ourselves.
Yeah.
And
like with situations like Nana was in.
Mm-hmm.
You're so worried about what ifs.
That's an excellent point that you make, and I didn't tell you this, so you're hearing this for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
A doctor, when you get admitted to a hospital,
mm-hmm.
they have what's called a hospitalist, which means that doctor's job is making rounds at the hospital, seeing the patients.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a special one too for ICUs,
mm-hmm.
where Nana was. Anyway, that doctor came in, and it was super interesting because he said, and this was when Nana was coming around,
mm-hmm.
he said, listen, it's important for you to be happy every day because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
So the best thing you can do for yourself anybody can do for themselves is to choose to be happy that day.
Yeah.
And I thought, I like this doctor. Right?
Yeah.
I like that. And even the nurse commented, because you don't need somebody telling you all the bad things, the things that are not going to work, and why they're not going to work, and why you should be doom and gloom.
Which is typical of a hospital.
Well, yeah, because you don't go there when you're happy and everything's going great.
Right.
Typically.
Right.
So, right. But I just thought that was very much appreciated that he said that, and Nana appreciated that as well.
Yeah.
But, so that's what you do. I think that since we just talked about that, I think, shining the light on that particular situation is a perfect example of that. The rest of us are running through our heads all of the things that we're worried about, and you just look at it as it is.
Yeah. That's not to say that I don't think of the what ifs. Because, my mind is constantly going through all kinds of stuff. It's almost an oxymoron in my head.
Yeah, but isn't the things that you think about, like, that occupy your mind like that, aren't they for you specifically?
Usually.
Like, and how that relates to you in your life and how you move through your day?
For the most part.
Yeah. Does it feel different when it comes to like this, where Nana's in the hospital and
in my mind, Nana's in the hospital. I have to trust that everything will be okay.
Yeah. And then let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a doctor. I'm not her doctor. I have no say over what happens to her.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and that is like a huge point what sets us apart, because I'm arguing with a doctor. And you're like, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this. The same doctor that let her go is the same doctor that admitted her the next day.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I was a little bit crabby.
Yes, I can imagine.
And told him so. And anyway, so I get what you're saying, and to be that way makes sense.
Yeah.
Because what you live in a lot of ways. Here's the dichotomy with what I know of you, is that there's this chaos of information, of needs, of compulsions that, like, this has to be an angle, this has to be in the right place, that has to be in the right place. Right. All of those things. The like pictures. You take a picture and then put it in words, and then and how you're trying to figure out, wait, are you supposed to say something now or not?
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out the nuances.
Yes.
It just feels overwhelming that the way that you have all the processing that you have to go through.
Yeah.
The dichotomy is that simultaneously there's this calm.
Yeah.
That is so present in any given situation.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed growing up is that if there is a serious situation going on, I'm just right there.
Yep.
And it's, I think...
Like if you're needed,
yeah,
you just jump into it.
Yeah. Like, I think I've brought this up before in the podcast, but I had been the date of a nice young woman for... We were each other's dates at the homecoming dance for each of our schools. And whenever it came to her school, their school went out and hired a place to do all the stuff and everything like that. And one of the students there was like top 5 in the world, or something, in the country or the world or something like that, for Irish dancing. And he broke his ankle while joking around on stage with the class clown.
Wow.
the first thing I did, as soon as I saw it, everyone else is trying to go up to him to see what they can do to help. I immediately turn around and go to where all the glasses are kept. Say, hey, I need some ice for this guy's ankle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
you've always been that way. When there's an emergency, you have clarity.
Yeah.
Just like not too long ago when we lived in the apartment and we walked by the house where the guy was, mistreating a young woman there. Yes. And you went into action.
Yeah.
And so you're able to do this. You have that clarity, and it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And it happens every time. So this is not a fluke.
Right.
This is not some weird thing that this happened this one time and it's not really this is who you are.
Right.
This is absolutely who you are, because I've seen it over and over again.
Right.
And it can happen on a day where you're not functioning well.
Yeah.
And this is what I don't understand it, but it can be a day where you're very present anyway, or it can be a day where you're not functioning well.
Yeah.
But if there's an emergency, boom, you're available.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
But
yes.
It's flummoxing.
But it confuses me.
But it's really cool.
Yes. It is. It is.
Yeah.
That you have this reliability there consistently.
Yeah.
Yes. And none of it doesn't make sense to any of us, not even you.
Right.
But it's the way that it happens.
Right.
Let me follow up about this library. About the library.
Okay.
Real quick. So, did you hear back from them?
I have not yet heard back from them.
Okay. When I had asked you to call them back, and did you do that?
Not initially, no.
Okay.
Once you reminded me to do it today, I did call them.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure who to contact or anything like that, so I just contacted the library that I went to.
Okay.
And they're going to give my name and number to one of the people who was in charge of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that I could get some more information on what I should do next.
Okay. Good. Awesome. The issue about the medication, we've talked before about this medication that you went on called Vyvanse, and you were on 50 milligrams, and on 50 milligrams it made your fingers tingle, or to go numb.
Yes.
And you are now taking 40 milligrams.
Yes.
So, how do you feel?
I actually feel really good. I mean, again, I'm still not 100% because of the cold.
Right.
But,
sure.
But otherwise, I'm actually doing pretty good, especially with the Abilify being phased out. Like being lowered and lowered and lowered.
So what milligrams are you on right now?
I'm on 5 milligrams of Abilify.
Okay.
And the idea is that I believe it's next Tuesday is the last day I would take it. And then after that I'll see how I'm doing, and if I'm not doing well I can go back onto the 5 milligrams. Because as it stands right now, I'm doing okay.
You seem to be able to focus and be able to follow conversations really easily. Yeah. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We turn on this recorder, and you were spot on. You know what I mean? And it's not for show.
Right.
It's not like you're all pretending. There's times when we're doing the podcast that you let me know I'm done.
Yeah.
I gotta go. And not to say you're always upbeat, because it's not,
Right.
What I've always said from the very beginning, that it's called Josh Has Autism.
Yeah.
Therefore, if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work.
Right.
And we adjust for that.
Right. There are times where I just can't do the podcast.
Correct.
So you try and have a podcast every week, even if I'm not available.
Correct. Like, you were able to articulate how you experience life so well on the podcast, and sometimes what people hear of you on the podcast, that's who you are.
Yeah.
All aspects of it.
Yeah.
You know, all your emotions, the whole range is, you know. What I'm trying to say, that I didn't do that very eloquently, what I'm trying to say is that today,
mm-hmm.
the way that you are right now is the way that you are.
Yeah.
You know, present, available, engaged.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even though you're just getting over a cold.
Yeah.
So,
which is really cool.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And
I'm so grateful that you're being taken off of that heavy duty medication.
It wasn't even heavy duty. It was just the fact that I was on such a high dosage of it.
I will say that that's a heavy duty medication.
Yeah?
It's the big guns, yes.
Okay.
And
Abilify, at that dosage that I was on,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was mentioned last week or not, or if at all, but that dosage that I was on
mm-hmm.
was used for people who have schizophrenia.
Yes.
And what was the other one?
Bipolar.
Bipolar disorder, yeah.
Yes.
And
thank goodness that it's there for the people that need it.
Yeah.
And that dose was certainly not
conducive for me.
It was not helping you at all. It seemed like it was the thing that was detracting more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because as you're decreasing the dosage, I'm noticing a positive change.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is that you're more you.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so last weekend,
mm-hmm.
The people are starting to get back to life.
Yeah. And
last weekend was a big weekend for you.
Yeah.
Yep, tell me about it.
So, I had D&D in person at...
Woohoo!
Yeah, at, 3 guesses where? A library.
How could life get any better than that?
But, so... this particular group used to meet once a month. They still meet once a month.
Mm-hmm.
But during COVID, they had not met.
Mm-hmm.
For like a year and a half, they had not met. And this was the first time that they had gotten together again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed up. They had limited spots because they were just opening back up.
Right.
And I was able to get one of the spots.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up running one of the games.
Do you like that?
I prefer to play. I prefer to play the games, but it was really cool because we had a couple of new players to the game who had never played it before.
Oh, cool.
Or if they had played it, they usually DM'd it.
I don't know what that means.
Run the game.
Oh, okay.
DM is Dungeon Master. Whereas GM is Game Master. It's interchangeable.
Okay.
But one of the really cool things that came out of it is that they were able to win their fight and everything like that in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a blast doing it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so I had people commenting from the game that I was running,
mm-hmm.
Hey, I had a blast doing this. Thank you.
That's so cool.
So
cool. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. You know what? One thing that I've always noticed whenever your friends came over and did this, that it's a loud game.
It is.
Like people are laughing and just overall loud.
Yes.
And
very much so.
Yes. So I think that's fantastic.
One of the cool things about D&D
mm-hmm.
is you can be someone you're not. Let me.
It's like an actor.
Yes.
It's like an actor.
Yes, but let me be clear about this.
Okay.
For someone on the spectrum,
mm-hmm.
to be able to be outgoing like their character is without having to worry about social normalcies and things like that
mm-hmm.
is amazing.
What does it feel like?
Liberating. Oh my gosh, it is so cool.
So, How are you able to... I'm sorry, go ahead.
It is very draining to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's only for an hour. Which usually games last for 3-4 hours minimum.
Okay.
Or I should say sessions last that long.
How do you switch that off and on though? And if it's that easy for you to do that for a game, have you ever done that in other situations? Or is it that you're not accountable, your character is accountable?
Yes. That's more like it.
So you don't have to think about, oh, is this the right thing to do or not the right thing to do? Because your character...
You do, but sometimes a character just won't care.
That's gonna be my new catchphrase. I'm gonna around this house. Say my character just don't care.
No, but because sometimes, like, there.
My character just don't care.
So, let me put it in a perspective, okay?
Yep.
There are alignments for characters. There are 9 different alignments you can be. You know how DNA boxes work, where it's AB or BB or something like that, upper and lowercase, like that for DNA.
Yes, DNA. Yes,
of parents to find out what their kids are most likely going to be, like.
Yeah.
So.
Are you? Right.
That kind of box, but it's 9 squares, so it's 3 by 3. One, the top one, let's say, is lawful, neutral, chaotic.
Okay.
The other side is good, neutral, evil. You can be chaotic good, where you randomly switch drinks with somebody, just for fun. Like you're at a bar or something like that. You randomly switch drinks with somebody.
Let me just say out loud: don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah, I'm saying in the game though.
And also, if you're at a bar, don't drink any drink that somebody has switched with you.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a different kind of example?
Yeah. Sorry. Let me think.
Like you and me. We're sitting in here at the counter at the island there, and
well, here's the thing: it's not real. The
I see.
Yeah, because it's not real, you don't have to worry so much about.
I get it. Nothing matters.
It does, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Like, you can have an effect on the story depending on how you act. But the overall story might not change that much.
Have you learned a lot about behavior from playing D&D?
Believe it or not, yeah. Yeah, I have, actually. And there a lot of players that have seen other people play chaotic good characters call them chaotic stupid.
Why?
Because they just do absolutely random things just for the fun of it.
Oh.
And not to degrade them or anything like that. That's not why they call them that. Okay. But because they're so random sometimes that it just gets stupid.
Like stupid fun?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Like, for example, I had a character one time. Bought up all the chickens in the town.
Yeah.
And my character was a cat person. Like a literal cat person.
Now I'm worried about the chickens.
Set all of them free all at once and started just running around chasing them.
What, the cats chase the chickens?
The cat chased the chickens, yes. The cat person chased the chickens.
Oh.
Just because he could.
Oh. Okay. Just because.
Yeah, just because.
Mm-hmm.
That's chaotic stupid.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it.
So
it's interesting. So one last question about that is
Mm-hmm.
that are there any times that a individual has gotten upset at D&D, or is it most often that
you can be absolutely disappointed and upset at a role you have, because literally everything you do, or not literally everything, but most of the things you do are decided by the roll of a dice, and so the higher the number you have, the better chance you get, at least in the more recent versions of D&D.
Okay.
And so, for example, Nana getting sick like she did, she would have failed a con save.
Say it again?
She would have failed a Constitution saving throw, which is which is her health save to make sure that she was okay.
Okay.
So she didn't get sick. She rolled like a nat 1 or something.
I
like
don't know
that.
what you're.
I'm trying to compare it to real life. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm lost because I've never seen the game played. I don't know anything about it.
So, if the,
Aww.
like for example, if you drink too much, you have to make a con save or be absolutely plastered. Yeah,
okay.
that. Some people actually play like that. I don't understand why, but they do.
Okay, so I got Einstein.
Yeah,
You're
you
okay,
got Einstein.
You're
Hey,
okay, baby.
and so if they fail the con save, they're drunk. That's all.
Okay.
And
do you have to? Okay, I'm confused. I'm going to let this one go.
yeah,
I think, but
yeah,
do you have to have foresight in order to stop something from happening all the time?
Sometimes, yeah.
But do you have to know what your character's going to do in order to do that? Or because otherwise,
the good players will, even if they know that it's detrimental to their character and to the party or even to the game, if they know that their character would act a certain way, they will play their character that way.
Okay.
Even if they don't like it, they understand that the character would be like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, a good player is true to the character.
Yes.
Okay.
Then there are some players that are just not good players.
Right.
But that's every game.
That's the way life is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes people use their brakes when they go around corners, and sometimes they don't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I said that this one was going to be a fast one.
It's not.
It's not, because
No.
it never is. Because
Yeah.
we get to talking and then it just,
Yeah, it's already been...
Yeah. What?
48 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to get going.
Yeah.
This
happens every time. You should stop saying that we're going to do a short
I'm never
podcast.
going to say it again because it's never happened. I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah.
Right. Because we get talking about something, it leads to something else. And,
Yeah.
you know. I am so thankful that you're feeling better.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so proud of you that you, not only applied for the job at the library, but then took the test and then, followed up. And, regardless of what happens with that, this is successful.
Yeah.
The fact that you're doing that you're following through, that's just all of it. And I'm also glad that you're feeling better, because you sounded terrible a couple days ago.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough. I'm glad that you're better. You look good.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Your beard's coming back.
Yeah, I need to shave.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We always appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we will, starting next week, RJ does the artwork for our podcast.
Yeah.
And he can do it like in his sleep. I mean, it's just this little caricature. He's just done. It's super easy.
Yeah.
But he is actually a fantastic artist. And starting next week, I asked him for this information. He's going to share with me what information, where he can be contacted. And he's really stepped up what he's doing. He's just some charcoal...
caricatures. Not even characters.
No,
they're portraits.
And it's amazing. And so I'm going to find out, and I'll start sharing that every week on next week's podcast. Because he's so good.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anybody as good as he is.
Yeah.
And he would really like to have, and he's passionate about it, so he would really like to be able to have that be the way that he makes a living.
Yeah.
And so, get that information from him. I'm going to share that. And again, what he does for us is a silly little, He
does it every week, though.
He does it every week since we started. And but what he can do will just blow you away. It's so good. So I want to give people that site so they can go see what he does in case they have any needs that, see what kind of work he does, and they might be interested. So that would be cool. But in the meantime, I would like to put out to everybody. Again, we started this with some prayers for Nana and some positive energy.
Yeah.
There is this big, beefy boy named Monty, and he is a 4-legged doll baby. That's a huge beast. And he's having lots of troubles. And he's having some troubles breathing and swallowing, and they know that he's going to have some surgery. But he is the little boy of a good friend of mine. And so his name is Monty. If anybody would send some lovin's, again, prayers or positive energy, healing energy his way, that would be so appreciated. He's not able to get in for the surgery for about another month.
Oh no.
And he's having troubles breathing.
Oh no.
And he could really use that to be, that energy and that healing to turn that around. So if you're a dog lover, and you
wouldn't mind doing this, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Monty and his mom would appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, thank you everybody for hanging out with us again. We appreciate you more than you could possibly know.
Yeah.
We hope you have a wonderful day, and safe and happy. And we will talk to you next week. Love you.
Bye.